what was just shown is how Wipeout started. Right at the beginning of first PlayStation and right at the beginning of its publishing, even as a pre-release demo. So let's see how its latest incarnation over 20 years ago looks and feels in comparison to that understandably famous, yet it was still quite crude. Even at standards of time it was kind of crude, but technically impressive. So let's see how over 20 years later it fares.
Fighter speed.
Yeah, well, basically Wipeout is still quite simple. You are riding these anti-gravity vehicles with blistering speeds, and you have all kinds of weapons added to those, just to make the race more interesting. Yeah, it's a racing game, but aggressive one. Yeah, that's the story. Futuristic. But at least one thing can be said with over 20 years. It's looking much better. But the basic component is still the same. You are riding this track with speed pads and all kinds of speed pads and weapon pads. Sometimes even going directly to the sky. Yeah, so it shows some of the fancy builds. 2048. I don't think in about 30 years there will be this kind of competitions being done, mostly because of what kind of logistics they demand. Racings with over 400 kilometers per hour with anti-gravity vehicles is most likely is quite flashy. Yep, but there are the competitors in just vague anti-gravity vehicles. Yep, sense of speed is, you can say, is as impressive as it was in the first one. I find it, I think it's quite impossible for me to actually emphasize how important effect it had. That how vast jump there felt to be between PlayStation 16-bit and 32-bit era of gaming, which is to say from Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis / Sega Mega Drive era to PlayStation era. And of course at the same generation there was Sega Saturn and Nintendo 64, although that was... Oh yeah. You can get all kinds of rockets, the speed pads. Green pads give you, you could say, defensive boost, and yellows give you defensive one. Yeah, then there's also some, and I must say that the
plasma.
Oh yeah, and of course but the still basic idea of the game, even over 20 years later, quarter of a century.
Cannon.
At least now, this game is not a it was a few years, it's a few years old. So it also includes the previous generation of Wipeout Fury. So it's much more, it's not so, you could say, groundbreaking. Wipeout never was, you could say, because it's a racing game. It isn't really, you couldn't say it's that way. It could be really, you could say, massively popular, although it was, and well, the first Wipeout did show the promise.
Shield active. Shield.
It wasn't.
Leech beam.
Shield active. Rockets.
Yeah, what was the same. It was very great. It was an impressive game, no denying that. But it was kind of crude. But then there was the sequel, Wipeout 2097, which made it really. It was just so much bigger improvement in game mechanics
Plasma.
and
Missile.
stylings that it would feel almost, you could say, insulting to say that same dudes. Of course, this Wipeout is made by completely different groups because, well, the
Plasma.
Sony
Cannon.
if I remember right, they dissolved Psygnosis, which made original. Yeah, I'm followed. But the one I'm chasing seems to be way ahead of me. Oh yeah, I would say that it was in the original Wipeout. It was prevalent, and it's still prevalent. Is the fact that computers cheat. They drive some sort of. They simply don't follow the same basic rules of the gameplay.
Plasma. Cannon.
Oh, and there's one. Yeah, there's autopilot as well. Many of the power-ups which appear in this one were not in original Wipeout, but did show up at the Wipeout 2097, which might, in my book, is the, you could say, the true Wipeout game to show that how exactly. And it also included the fact that Wipeout always has this quite nice pumping beat, technos and dance music. Yeah. Basically, Wipeout has remained the same since its inception, but it has just grown into more complex and, of course, much wider game. Quite interesting little comparison. See you next time. See ya.